And we're live, just like that. Right back at it, man. I mean, not right back at it. There's 4 games to talk about today. There's no way to talk about 4 games in a 40-minute podcast, and that's not what I aim to do today. Honestly, woke up today and I was like, man, this is a vibe check day. This is a day where we try to get some people in the chat. We try to see how you feel about the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, we got a win last night, but we're out of the in-season tournament, just the way that the chips fell. The Nets are 9-8. They have a winning record. All things considered, I want to see how you guys feel. Obviously, we're waiting on some injuries, guys to return from being out. This team has somewhat of an identity. I don't know. It's an interesting team, right? They're rebounding well, but that never was the Brooklyn Nets. They're scrappy again. They're gritty again. And that is the Brooklyn Nets. That's what I think a lot of us, can get behind in this team. But all in all, I personally just feel like they need something else. Maybe it's Cam Thomas, but really I think it's more when I look at the NBA and I look at the teams that we're competing with just in the East. This Nets team, what is this Nets team going to be? A play-in team, a team that can at best hope to be, in that bottom tier of 7 to 10. I know it's early in the season, and I know the in-season tournament is going on, and we don't really know anything yet. But I want to get vibes. I want to get Nets fans in the chat. I know it's early. It's 12 o'clock on Wednesday. Shout out to Will Simmons in the chat showing up early. Shout out to Alex holding me down as well as we put these episodes together. Without further ado, man, let's get into it.
We're doing that Brooklyn Nets talk right here on Talkin Nets. Brooklyn, we go hard. Go hard. Talkin Nets. Hosted by Keith McPherson.
Yes, sir. Welcome back to Talkin Nets. It is Wednesday, November 29th. It's cold. I was on the radio last night. I'm like, yo, we're in it. It's like really cold. Like we're in the winter already. Like I felt like it was just fall. It was a warm November. Now we're going into December. But yo, I mean, I want to see how you guys feel about the Brooklyn Nets. We are almost 20 games in. We have a good sample size on what Jacques Vaughn and this team is, what we can expect. And yeah. What's up, Alex? Come on in.
Yeah, I mean, I said at the end of last episode, I think we need to aim for something like 4-2 in that 6-game stretch, and we're 4 games in, and we're 3-1. So good vibes.
I mean, I keep saying all things considered, for the Nets to be 9-8 with the team that they have, beating some of the teams that they beat, I'll take it. I'm not going to be too hard on a team that like we had no expectations for, too hard on a team that like doesn't really have a star player, doesn't really have the upper echelon talent that you talk about in the NBA that you literally need. But they're competitive. They hustle. They play hard. And I think the fans are behind them. The fans are showing up to support this team. Let's start here with Cam Thomas. As I'm mentioning, not having a star player, not having that talent, the vibe for me is like, man, we need Cam back. And not that we just need Cam back, but I want to see the Nets with Cam Thomas back. I want to see the Nets with that true scorer, with the young man that we know can go get 30, even 40 points a night. Ben Simmons, irrelevant. I mean, I was talking about Ben Simmons last night on the Fan, and I've been the same on Ben Simmons since the season started. I told you anything we get out of Ben is a bonus, right? Don't count on it. Don't expect anything. Don't be looking at Ben Simmons as like, oh, he's back. Oh, he's like, the guy has like gotten to the point in his career where he's very injury prone. We're not sure if he wants to play, if he's got that drive and motivation. And there's a lot of guys on the Nets that we can tell have that drive, have that motivation, have that chip on their shoulder. What do you say about all that, Alex? I'll check the chat to see what people are talking about.
Yeah, I mean, Simmons is a very important part of what Jock Vaughn how he wants to play. I might not like a lot of people might not agree with it, but he does make other players like more open. He actually like the one player that I've seen have a bit of a dip of form, but it was like on fire at the beginning of the season was Dorian Finney-Smith, and I feel like Ben Simmons got the best out of him, and he still hasn't even played with Cam Johnson, and Cam Johnson's starting to find his groove. Same with Mikal Bridges. And just like the depth in general, adding those two back, especially Cam Thomas, who I think is our best player, uh, you can move someone like Dorian Finney-Smith and Spencer Dinwiddie off the bench, and having those two off the bench with someone also like Lonnie Walker, that's really deep. So having that type of depth and having just everyone healthy, and considering that we went 3-1, like I mentioned in those games in this stretch, without Cam Thomas and Ben Simmons is kind of encouraging. We'll get into how those games played out quick, but yeah, I mean, I'm just very happy that Cam Thomas is returning soon. Ben Simmons is a question mark, obviously, but he obviously adds rebounding, he adds defense, and he adds playmaking. So yeah, I mean, it is a bonus, but at the same time, we know what he is.
So, I mean, I don't know the exact game that Cam is going to return, but he's on the way. You've seen him; he's got the big throw out. He's around the team. He's coming back soon. I mean, the next game is Thursday. It's the 50-year anniversary of Hip Hop Celebration in Brooklyn. They're giving out one of those mini courts that look like the Cause City Edition courts. It should be live, and we're playing the Hornets, who they're trash. We should be able to beat them. But hitting the chat because we're trying to check the vibe and see what guys are talking about. David, where are you from, bro? David says, "What's up? You guys need to do this more often. It's 7 p.m. by me." 7 hours ahead. I'm guessing you're in like London.
No, London's
England.
5 p.m. It's like 6.
So it's even. So I mean, 7 hours.
It's somewhere in Europe. I just don't know where.
I mean, I'm sure he'll tell us in the chat. Jared Williams, hey Keith and Alex, what's up, Jared? Appreciate you always popping in. What do you think the Nets need to improve? We'll definitely get there after we talk about some of these games and how it played out. Rahala 88, you. Any news on Cam? Yeah, I mean the article that I was reading on Cam from the New York Post published yesterday just said, for the first time in 3 weeks, Nets guard Cam Thomas has a chance of playing. Thomas is listed as doubtful, right? That was it. We saw he was doubtful last night, and it's like, okay, he's on the injury report as doubtful. Last week, the Nets and coach Jacques Vaughn expressed that Thomas could return to team activities this week. I don't think they're going to rush him. I don't think he'll be in this game Thursday, but maybe once we get into December. Let's see. Starting power forward Cam Johnson was forced out of Sunday's win over Chicago with a right leg cramping. Let's see. Yeah, I didn't get anything else from this article as far as a return date, but
as long as they said that he's doubtful, so that was probably the most encouraging doubtful I've ever seen from a Nets injury report.
At least the response from Nets fans being like, "Yo, like he's on the injury report, doubtful, but next thing he's questionable, next thing he's playing."
Yeah, so I think we play the Hornets, I'm pretty sure Thursday, and then we play the Magic. And then we're gonna find out how the schedule is gonna be filled out next week because there's a big gap. We have a game on the 2nd of December against the Magic, and then the next one's the 11th of December against the Kings. So I just they'll fill it out just because of the in-season tournament. We didn't advance. We'll talk about that. But yeah, we'll see. Oh, there we go. Okay. Will be against the Hawks and Washington. Again, those should be 2 wins.
Man, that game against the Hawks last week, the last podcast we did, I was saying we needed to beat the Hawks. We should have beat the Hawks. That one was rough.
I think Cam will probably be back. My guess is probably against either the Magic or that next game after that. That's my guess.
So Brian Lewis from the New York Post writes, the Nets' additional 2 regular season games will be next Wednesday at the Atlanta Hawks and next Friday at home against the Washington Wizards. Obviously, with this new in-season tournament, They're still kind of figuring out all these things. I think all of us are still figuring out all these things. I thought it was interesting to watch last night how teams were chasing the point differential, right? Trying to blow teams out so that they could increase their point differential, which was the tiebreaker. I shouted out Pat Boyle from the Fan last night because I saw a parlay he put together where he teased up the spread and got like plus 300 odds. I'm like, why did I think to do that? He turned like $28 into 1,300, teasing up the spread on the Celtics game. You saw them chasing points. The Knicks versus Hornets game, they were chasing points. I think he parlayed that with like the Bucks and Damian Lillard, and I was like,
the Cavs as well. They're against the Hawks. I saw this tweet where it was like all the teams that were chasing certain point differential, they went 5-0 on the spread. They like have like easily beat the spread. So
5-0, exactly 5-0 in the spread, but like doubled the spread. And if you're a gambler and you tease that up where the spread might have been -10 and you put it up to -20 and they clear it, there's money there. That's smart thinking. I was like, Pat Boyle, you got it, bro. You're a smart guy. So here's the rest of what Woj posted for the NBA schedule. He posted, here's the NBA schedule for the 22 teams that missed the quarter final round of the NBA in-season tournament. So you guys take a look at that. Like I said, everybody is still kind of figuring this whole thing out. I don't kind of feel any type of way about missing I wanted to, obviously, it's the first one. The Nets were competitive against the teams in their group. I obviously wanted it if they could get there, but I don't feel any kind of way about missing out on it. I feel like the teams that made it are the teams that are supposed to be in it. Like there's no real shocker or surprise there. And, you know, it kind of went chalk for the first one. I don't know, Alex. I don't know if you agree with that.
I mean, like you couldn't really ask for much. Those are the teams that made it through. You couldn't really ask for much else the Nets could have done, honestly. Like I'm happy with a 3-1 record. Obviously, it wasn't enough, but
lost to the Celtics. But like the Celtics are really good. They're the favorite to win. If you're looking at, I just put up the graphic of the in-season tournament odds. If you're betting on FanDuel, the Boston Celtics are the favorites to win the whole thing, followed by the Bucks, Sacramento Kings. I don't know if you saw the whole Kings Warriors thing last night.
I did.
Los Angeles Lakers, Phoenix Suns, the Pelicans, the Pacers, and the New York Knicks were able to steal a wild card. I mean, because they played against some bums, but
their group was really easy. It was like they had the Hornets, they had the Wizards, so I'm not surprised that they're in it.
Good for them. I was talking on the Fan last night. I'm like, what if the Knicks actually find a way to win this thing, and then they hoist the first ever NBA Cup trophy? They put a banner up in MSG, you know, in-season tournament inaugural champs. It's just the jokes themselves with that.
Before we move on, I absolutely agree with Rahala. Again, they need to implement some soccer into this, where he said they got to play each other twice, which makes perfect sense. And I don't get why they just played it once, because that completely it gives another team an advantage. Like we played the Raptors, and I think we played the Magic at home. That just gives a disadvantage to those two teams, where like, why can't they play at home again? Like we should play each other twice, one home, one away. Yeah. So
they do the home and home series. They do the home and home series. Why can't they do that in the in-season tournament?
Yeah, and it would get rid of a lot of tiebreakers. And like I think there were 4 teams that were 3-1. So
they're working the kinks out. It's the first year.
They'll tweak it.
I think a lot of people hated on the in-season tournament and now have come around on it. But that's what people do with anything. They first see something new and they're like, this sucks. Why are they doing this? This is stupid. Oh, what are these courts? What is this tournament? What is it for? What do they win? And then you see it actually play out, and you see the players actually playing hard. You see the players actually buying into it. The coaches actually buying into it. And you're like, hey, maybe this is good. Maybe this is good for the NBA early in the season. Maybe this is good for the NBA as far as obviously money, right? Attention, eyes, getting players to play and not load manage and not sit out. Like, I think so far so good. So let's keep it rolling in the chat. Will Simmons said, Keith, I just ordered the Bridges Cause jersey. Had to. Did get the white Basquiat because it was on sale for $45. I gotta take a look at the net shop if they're on sale. The white Basquiat's on sale for $45. Interesting. Rahala said, I had to walk away from class to tune into y'all. Yeah, well, we're doing this one a little early. I think we just have things to do. And like, that's the thing. We're trying to figure out when we can come together to do the pod and schedule these shows. Sometimes it's 12 in the afternoon. Sometimes it's 5 o'clock. I think once football dies down and we get more into the winter, it'll be more regular. And I don't know, we could probably schedule out like a whole calendar month. I know Big Fan Breezy is trying to come through maybe this week or next. And like I told you guys last week, this is our show. When I say our show, this is just a spot for Nets fans to talk about the Nets without interruption from any other fan bases. And I'm not looking for like journalists or famous people to be on the podcast. It's too much of a lift and a grind to try and get, former NBA players and stuff like that. Like I'll share the platform with the Nets fans that are in the chat and supporting us. Alex went from producer to hosting the show, and we just come here and talk about the Nets. And like I said, today, with 4 games that were played since our last pod, I don't want to go through every single game and break down what happened, but we'll just have a general vibe check and talk about the team. All right. In the chat as well. Where did I want to go? The chat fills up so fast, and then I go back and I miss. I think Ramon Castro, my guy. What's up? He said, hello. Cam Thomas should be good for tomorrow or Saturday. I think they give him another day. I think it's like, I don't know.
I would say Saturday.
I would say Saturday.
Yeah.
I don't think he's back tomorrow. I think Saturday, maybe. Because I kept thinking December, and Saturday is December. What else in the chat? Make sure you guys hit like, subscribe, all of that. If you want to leave a voicemail, 929-500-1003. Other than that, just leave your questions in the chat, and we'll keep rolling through the chat. So I guess we'll hit the scores, right?
Yeah.
We'll go backwards. Last night, Raptors, Nets in Brooklyn, in-season tournament game. The Nets handle business. They defeat the Raptors 115-103. Sunday, the Nets hosted the Bulls in Brooklyn, beat them 109-118. The Bulls are our pals. The Bulls suck. They cooperate. They lay down.
They're awful.
They're so
terrible.
bad. I mean, the Miami Heat, they've played us now 3 times. So the Miami Heat roll out there with their B squad. They're starting Kyle Lowry, Josh Richardson, Thomas Bryant, Jaime Vasquez. Like, we were able to beat them. Good, whatever. Pad the win column. And yeah, the last podcast we did was on the night of that Hawks game where the Nets lose in overtime, 147-145. And that one was tough because Mikal Bridges goes off for 45. Spencer Dinwiddie had 26. Let's talk about Spencer Dinwiddie and Mikal Bridges now. With Spencer Dinwiddie, I know a lot of y'all, he grinds your gears. Like, some of y'all just don't like him. You just don't like watching him.
It's a love-hate relationship with him. I just don't know how to put it. Like, it's just like he complains all the time to the refs, saying like,
that's annoying.
And one thing, and then but like, you can't like deny that, like, he's been a fan favorite for a lot of fans. I mean, ever since he joined the team, like he broke out in the 17-18 season, then became like our 6th man in the 18-19 season. So, I mean, and it was good to have him back. I wish KD played with him, but I mean, we
didn't come back that year. Remember that? Yeah. We were, Spence is going to come back. Spence is going to come back. They were waiting on him to come back like Aaron Rodgers.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But I'll give Spencer his props and his credit because he's doing this in the absence of Cam Thomas. Like, he's stepping up, scoring, and trying to lead the way because we're without Cam and we're without Ben Simmons. So, like, we've seen Spencer play different roles, and he knows he can be this guy. And I think he's relishing in it. He loves it. He enjoys it. Now, Mikal Bridges is a guy that has been vocal about fans getting on him, has been vocal about his role and trying to find his way in the system and whatnot. And he's doing it. Like the night that he dropped 45 and had 10 rebounds, there was a stat that he joins Kyrie, KD, and Vince Carter as the only Nets with 45-10 in a game in the 21st century. He turned into a star that night. He looked like a star that night. And I'm not mad at the guy. He's trying. He can't be what everybody wants him to be right away. I just never looked at him as a one. I never looked at him as a superstar. But I guess people think that he's got to be that for the Nets. He's doing what he can. Other than that, moving through these games, even last night's game, let's look at the box scores. I'll pull up the box score from last night. I just don't want to go. I don't want the podcast to be going through 4 different games. It just never plays well and never sounds good. Go for it, Alex, while I pull up the box score from last night's game.
Yeah, I was just looking in the chat, and Jared was saying he thinks that we're better without Ben Simmons. And I can see why you say that, just because it's been a while since we've seen him and that we've been winning the past few games. But his added defense, his playmaking, he gets open shots for other players. It just happens that I saw a stat, and whenever we play a team whenever we go up against a team on the day, and if they're 500 and above, or sorry, 500 and below, or below 500, we're actually undefeated. So we actually are able to beat the teams that we're supposed to beat. We just can't play up to the standard of like a team like the Celtics or.
And that's tough, bro. That's tough
Yeah.
because the last few years watching the Nets, you felt like you had the star power and the talent to compete with anyone in the league. So it's just a switch. This season watching these guys play, there's veterans, they're scrappy, whatever, but we ultimately know they're not going to play with the upper echelon in the league. They need something else. All right, so the one game we will talk about is last night's game. The Nets get it done. Speaking of Spencer Dinwiddie, again, 23 points last night. Mikal Bridges, 22 points last night, 10 rebounds. Spencer almost had 10 rebounds, had 9. Nick Claxton with 15 points. Cam Johnson with 18 points. Cam Johnson's another one that I know you guys talk down on, but ultimately, he's a serviceable guy. Take the contract out of it. Royce O'Neal last night, 18 points. Royce O'Neal with 6 made threes and daggers when you need them. I mean, it is what it is. Lonnie Walker, only 7 points. Not what we're used to seeing from Lonnie off the bench. I feel like Lonnie is I don't want to say he's hurt, but it's just he's playing through injuries. He had the knee issue, but he's not going to miss any time. He's just going to push through it. Dorian Finney-Smith, you heard Alex talk about him earlier and how he felt like, Ben Simmons got the most out of him. Early on in the season, we were looking at Doe we're getting Dallas Mavericks, Dorian Finney-Smith. He's really stepping up, but it's a team game. These guys find a way to win. They beat the Raptors, and the in-season tournament they miss out on, but they're 9-8 with a winning record. Go for it, Alex, as I go back to the chat and see what they're talking about.
Low-key, it's a bit of a blessing in disguise for us to be out of the in-season tournament, because look at the 2 teams that they've matched up. They match up for us, the Hawks and the Wizards. Those should be 2 wins. I know we said last time we should beat the Hawks, but I think by that time Cam Thomas will be back, so that's another added weapon. And I think the Hawks, they're just so weird. They score a lot, but they give up. They're terrible defense. We just need to be a lot more locked in on defense. I read or I saw it was either post-match interview or pregame where Jacques Vaughn talked about sort of his defensive scheme, where he's willing to let 3-pointers go down, or at least 3-pointers shoot for the other team, but it's just crash the glass, because we actually lead the league in rebounds, which is unheard of coming from a Nets fan. Yeah, because everyone's just in the paint. It's 5 against 1, so we just sort of that's what happened against the Bulls.
People have dogged Sean Marks for years for not addressing the rebounding, and we didn't even think it was addressed.
it's just that Jacques Vaughn sacrifices a lot of 3-pointers, and I mean, I get it, but at the same time, like, there's no balance. Like, we're either amazing at rebounding, or we're just going to give up like 15 to 20 made 3-pointers a game, and it's just going to be like, does this team, if the team has their shot that night, we'll probably lose. If they don't, we'll win. So it's just like, you just have, it's kind of like hoping for the best type of situation, and where, I mean, we're doing well on rebounding, but it's just that we're leaving everyone in the paint. So that's what happened in the Bulls in the first quarter. Like, we were down by 25 in the first quarter, and then the Bulls became the Bulls again after that. So yeah, I mean, that's kind of the game scheme that Jacques Vaughn's going with.
So David, who said that it's 7 p.m. where he is, he's in Israel.
Okay, yeah.
He says, I'm from New Jersey studying in Israel. That makes perfect sense. What else? So I feel like people are split on the tournament, right? Jared Williams, I don't really care about the in-season tournament. It's not my favorite. Will says, I really wanted to advance in the tournament. So that's good. I mean, you know, you're going to have different opinions on it. It is what it is. Trying to keep moving forward on similar things that people said. Nets are, shout out to Jean. Nets are the hub for talent. I wish we had a better vision for this team moving forward. As fans, I wish we knew more about like where this team was headed going forward. I think that's cloudy, right? It's hard to, feel so confident about things when you're just like, well, one day we're going to trade for somebody. I had a caller last night ask about the rookies that were drafted and like, why don't they play? And I'm like, I would lean into the fact that Jacques Vaughn is a former player, veteran, head coach, and like he leans on veteran players, and those guys can't crack his rotation. I mean, in the beginning of the season, Lonnie Walker hadn't cracked his rotation. Lonnie Walker, I think, is 24. He obviously should be in there. Harry Giles can't crack the rotation. Trendon Wofford plays. Amani Brooks had one big game, but like I just think that Jacques Vaughn trusts certain guys and doesn't trust others. Let's see. Will said New Orleans is a shocker. Not to me, bro. New Orleans is not a shocker to me. Like they've been a playoff team and they have a superstar. Yeah, Rihala already said we got to play teams twice. Let's see. This guy in the black hat, that his name's Alex. This guy in the black hat says Cam Thomas is the best on the team. What? He's just a good scorer. The object of the game is to
score
put the ball in the hoop.
I mean, like, if I don't know who he thinks is that my guess is probably Mikal Bridges. Thank you, Rahala. I do have a name. But yeah, I mean, like, Mikal Bridges, I guess you want him to put as the best player on the team, I guess, sure. But I just think Cam Thomas has a much higher ceiling, and before his injury was playing better than Mikal. I guess now I know Mikal like now dropped 45, but
this team is different as soon as Cam Thomas steps on the floor. When you need a bucket, that guy can go get you a bucket. It's that's what we're all waiting for, right? Like we're waiting for him to return and see how they shift. Let's see. Also, some ratings versus the NFL at this time of year. I don't know if you're talking about the in-season tournament.
I think he's talking about the in-season tournament where it's just kind of like, it's mixed with the NFL so that like it increases ratings so that if it was just a regular season, like if it was last season, there wouldn't be as much ratings. So I think in-season tournament helps.
It's smart. So, man, I've talked about this a bunch on the radio. I'm like, they played these games on Tuesdays and Fridays on purpose. You'll never see an NFL game on a Tuesday or a Friday. You just won't. And that's why they put these in-season tournament games in. I'll get the schedule for the in-season tournament in Vegas coming up.
Also, like there's one thing that they need to tweak where the final doesn't count towards the regular season, but the quarterfinals and semifinal does. Like that doesn't make sense to me.
So Monday, which they will go up against Monday Night Football, you'll have the in-season tournament quarterfinals, the Celtics. Let me see if I could just screenshot this and put this in here, and then I'll read it out loud for everybody. I can't hate on the NBA. Like I can appreciate craftiness. Fun. I can appreciate new things. Like I always say, evolve or dissolve. If you stay the same in any business, especially entertainment, If you think you can just keep doing the same things forever, you will cease to exist, right? I use the example of Blockbuster on the radio all the time. Blockbuster should have been way ahead of the game. And what happened to them? They dissolved. They disappeared. I used to work at MTV like 9 years ago, and I was a digital person at MTV doing social media, and they were so stuck on linear television. And I'm like, television is dying. People are cutting the cord. People want on-demand stuff. They want streaming. There is no tune-in. These kids don't care about TRL anymore. They don't care about watching a brand new episode at 8, 9 Central. I'm like, you got to chop this stuff up and put it on YouTube, put it on Facebook, put it on Instagram. And they're like, no, drive tune-in. We want everything to be, driven to tune-in. And I'm just like, it's not like, that's not the way of the future. And now, like, who cares about MTV? No one. The VMAs went from being at Staples Center and Madison Square Garden to now they have it at Prudential Center. No knock to Prudential Center. Shout out to the Devils.
Yeah.
But, like, they've fallen off. J. Cole said, I never did the VMAs. I'm not in need of praise. Like, who's pulling up to the VMAs now? Nobody. MTV, that used to be the Super Bowl. I remember working the VMAs at MTV, and they said, this is our Super Bowl, all hands on deck. We would work into the night. I remember staying at a hotel in the city because I worked the VMAs until like 2 a.m. And they disappeared. They fumbled the bag. MTV had their pulse, on their finger on the pulse of pop culture. They disappeared. So the NBA is not going anywhere ever, but they got creative. They got crafty with this in-season tournament. So Monday, December 4th, the NBA in-season tournament will feature the Celtics versus Pacers at 7:30. They'll go right up against Monday Night Football. They don't care. The Pelicans will play the Kings at 10 o'clock. That'll be towards the end of Monday Night Football. They don't care. I'll be on the radio after that. We'll be talking about it for sure. Now, Tuesday, they have no comp. Knicks versus Bucks. I'll definitely be watching that. I can't wait to see it. Suns versus Lakers. Definitely be watching that too. 7:30, 10 o'clock. So, see, they've got the East Coast slated at 7:30, the West Coast at 10 p.m. and or West Coast teams. And then Thursday, it'll be the semifinal, TBD. And the final will be Saturday, December 9th. It's coming up. I'm interested to see how it looks, how it plays out, who wins. You've got players like the Knicks, like Josh Hart and Emmanuel Quickly were talking about what they were going to do with the bread. And they were saying, like, I think Josh Hart was like, oh, that's a new watch. Like, he's already planning on buying a new watch. So I'm like, cool. Speaking of the radio and talking about the radio, David says, Keith, I missed your KM to AM show on the Fan. The time difference is too hard. The pod. I'm tired right now. If you're watching this, you probably saw me yawn like 3 times, bro. Like, I always tell everybody how, like, I have a baby. So when I come home, I come home at like 2:30, and my son can wake up at any time in the middle of the night. He does. He wakes up every hour, every 2 hours, crying, needing something. And I wake up and tend to him. So I'm never really sleeping. I would not stay up to listen to one single human being on the radio till 2 a.m. That's why I appreciate people that rock with me like that. Like, I have legit people that are fans, supporters, that like ride with me, that are listening live till 2 a.m. But you don't have to do that. The same way this is podcasted, all of my radio shows, the producer that's producing my show is putting them on the podcast. Alex has produced my show. Like, every hour goes to the podcast for people that are in a different time zone or just like to prioritize their sleep. You got to sleep, yo. You got to sleep. So appreciate y'all, man. Let's keep it rolling. More just vibes in the chat. Go for it.
Yeah, I was just going to bring up a question. Someone said, will the Nets be able to re-sign both Dinwiddie and Claxton, or will they have to trade one of them? I've always been on the train of re-sign Claxton and either trade Dinwiddie before the deadline. But now what I've seen from him, I think he could be useful if we're trying to push for a playoff spot. So maybe try and do a sign-in trade during the offseason. I would not re-sign him. I just think it would just completely, we would not be flexible at all to sign other players. I would actually rather re-sign Lonnie Walker because he's younger. He's comfortable coming off the bench. And Claxton, I think that would just be having that homegrown player, someone that you drafted, and re-signing him. That's just like, it just feels good, having him, having Cam Thomas going to, and even Mikal Bridges too. I know we didn't draft him, but I feel like those three trying to build around them, and then hopefully Lonnie Walker. I don't think Dinwiddie is going to be costing a decent amount. Like he's probably going to cost maybe not as long term as Claxton, but I'd probably say around 18 million is my guess, maybe even 20. So yeah, I would keep Claxton. I don't know. There's a lot of people. Yeah, there's a lot of people that like. I was texting one of my friends like last week. He's like, I'm in the train for trading Claxton because he's gonna want a lot of money. I'm like, why don't you pay it like that? If you want to be a big team,
he's your guy.
Yeah,
he's your guy. And honestly, think about the Nick Claxton saga and how much he has matured and changed as a person and player that we can rely on. He's our guy. You want to have homegrown guys. You want to have guys that you drafted, you developed, that are yours. Stay. We're not going the way of selling our soul again to the superstars that want to come in here and be the GMs and be the face of the franchise and run everything and bring their friends in. Like I'm guaranteeing you they're not doing that again. Josai owns this team. He trusts Sean Marks. We have to trust Sean Marks. And I just believe that they're going to do this in a certain type of way in drafting guys, developing their own guys, and maybe bringing in one or two guys here and there. So what else did I see in the chat that I wanted to bring up? Rahala, Spence got to pay that Royce in-season tournament lit. I'm not sure what that means. Got to pay that Royce?
Paying because Royce O'Neal is on an expiring deal? I don't know. Or maybe a Rolls Royce. Does he have one?
I would say.
I remember. No, he brought up the tournament money prize, and he's like, that might pay for my Rolls Royce.
Oh,
the 500K.
Royce O'Neal.
Okay, I got it.
What's up? Jeremiah says Brooklyn. Will Simmons still politicking on the sales of the jerseys. Models, they fell behind and had to go. Slow to online sale. That's the same type of thing. Right? I thought you were talking about where to get a $45 Basquiat jersey. Models, they fell behind and had to go. Slow to online sales. Open too many stores. They were stuck.
Up Toys R Us too. So like that's another good example.
So like we have so many examples of. I mean, Major League Baseball did this. Like I worked at Major League Baseball in the fan cave, and there was a point in time where Major League Baseball didn't allow fans to clip their content and put it on the internet. You couldn't even make a GIF. You couldn't take any of their highlights because they thought that like you were stealing the rights to it was so stupid. So they fell behind. Meanwhile, the NBA is like, yeah, go ahead, do what you want. NFL's like, sure. Like take our content and post it and make your podcast and make your channels. Look where they're at. Let's see. The NBA is trying to compete with the WWE in viewership with the in-season tournament on Monday and Tuesday this week as well. That might be true. I'm not a big WWE guy. I was when I was like 11. I really haven't watched. Do they pull in numbers? Do they pull in numbers? I know like CM Punk just came back or something like that.
Yeah,
do they pull in numbers that rival the NBA?
That's something that Robin would know. He's big on that. So,
yeah. Shout out to Robin Lundberg. I got to reach out to Robin and bring him back on the pod. And shout out to my guy Hudson Flynn. He's got to lay low right now because a lot of people think he looks like Josh Giddey. You do not want to be walking around right now with people thinking you look like Josh Giddey, bro. You do not want to be him. You do not want to be mistaken for him right now. The feds is watching. The feds are out there looking for Josh Giddey, looking for the little girl that Josh Giddey was with. A report just came out that Josh Giddey's or that the girl's family, they're not cooperating with the investigation on Josh Giddey. How crazy is that, though, while I brought it up? Because people used to say that in the chat all the time, that Hudson looks like Josh Giddey. Yo, Josh Giddey, they put him on the Summer Jam screen over the weekend. They had this man at like a high school dance or like some type of like grinding with the girl. They showed this girl post him on Snapchat. These are little girls, bro. They had this girl's like yearbook picture. Some like Newport High School. Now there's something that just came out about he was pulled over speeding in that area. I'm like, damn, this dude is still playing though. He's still out there in the NBA. Rahala said Hudson out here wilding. Like, bro, Hudson is a legit like 6'4" with the same fro. Giddy's a little taller than him, but people don't know from the TV or whatnot. Somebody might see him and be like, "Yo, that's Josh Giddey. Hey, get him." Scott Hansen to catch a predator. He's right there. He's right there. But yeah, that's wild, bro. That's wild that this is a Wander Franco situation for my baseball fans in the chat.
Yeah.
You know what happened with Wander Franco? They got him up out of there. Like, as soon as there was even a Snapchat picture of this young girl wearing Wander Franco's chain, zoop, they took him off the field. You haven't seen or heard from him since. And I think Pedro Gomez reported that, like, oh, there's multiple girls. There's more than one young girl. So if Josh Giddey is like that too, man, I saw them put an AI-generated picture of Josh Giddey and Karl Malone passing the torch to him.
So messed up.
This is where we're at in 2023 going into 2024. I was on air talking last night about, for the hockey fans, Connor Bedard and Corey Perry, and the rumor that the Blackhawks cut Corey Perry because he got caught banging Connor Bedard's mom. There was like a mom's weekend or something for the team, and they like hooked up. And oh my God, I'm just like, yo, the internet is crazy. The rumors are too much. It's like everybody is guilty until proven innocent because the internet can run with things. And my boy Joel likes the conversation where we went. He threw us 99 cents. Like, yo, keep going with this. Keep going with this. Like, right now we got the Josh Giddey scandal. We had the Wander Franco scandal. We got the Connor Bedard scandal. And I even threw in Nestor Cortez, which is not a scandal. Shout out to my boy Nasty Nestor. But like, Nestor Cortez posted on his Instagram, or his girl posted on Instagram, pictures from their wedding.
Yeah,
and so
they got married.
People, but people start to come out there and say, "Where's Judge? Where's some other players? Where's Garrett Cole? Like, how come these guys aren't in the like?" It's like, bruh, like, sometimes you can't make weddings. Sometimes you have other engagements, especially these guys. They're high profile, but like people are reading into it like, oh, they must have beef. They must not really be friends. Like, what? All right.
John, I want to be friends with you. Where's Nick Friedel for Giddey?
Oh, like what a comment.
Didn't he get fired?
He got moved. Nick Friedel got moved because once KD left, no need to have him in Brooklyn.
Thank God. I hate that.
I think he actually went to Phoenix. I think they moved him off the Nets beat. ESPN is shiesty like that too. I used to be on Nick Friedel's back on Twitter. Pause. I used to be on his neck. Pause. I used to be getting at him. Now Nick Friedel's Twitter just says journalist. So maybe they let him go. But I'm pretty sure once KD left, they moved him out of Brooklyn. Yeah, now it doesn't say ESPN. It doesn't say anything. It just says journalist.
Nick Friedel was just I don't know if you saw what Jason Kidd. I don't know what you saw what Jason Kidd said last night. Tim McMahon asked him about like Luka and Kyrie's like relationship on the court and off the court, and then Jason Kidd like went off at him. Like, he was saying like, yeah, they're two of the most clutch players, but since this year we're playing well, you guys should write some good shit instead of like not writing some bad stuff. And like, I just want you to be positive. Yeah. And Nick Friedel was only negative.
J-Kid knows, like, yo, these people are searching for drama. They're searching for clicks. They're searching for articles. You just mentioned the Mavericks. How about Mark Cuban? He supposedly bought his stake in the Mavericks for $285 million. He just flipped it for $3.5 billion. Man, I could only imagine. I was talking about how Frank Wright, who got fired from the Carolina Panthers, they're paying him $25,000 a day to go away. Bro, I don't know if I'll ever paper touch like that. I don't know if I'll ever get that type of bread. I mean,
look at Josh McDaniels and what his buyout was when he got fired too.
Him and John Gruden. I mean, the Raiders are paying them $100 million. John Gruden and Josh McDaniel to not help, to go away, to not be associated with the team. That's nuts. All right, Joe, we're wrapping this up, but thanks for coming through. Oh, actually, I got to play the voicemails. What am I saying? Let's see. I think Big Fan Breezy hit us with one, and we got another one. So let's play the voicemails, and then we're out. Alex, you can hit anything else in the chat you want to hit, and then we'll wrap this one up.
I mean, yeah, just like I think we can go back to Talking Nets. But yeah, go back.
We
to
should make that a segment,
podcast
though. I
title.
think there was a point in time in Talking Nets where we did go around the association, around the NBA, and hit other things because like it's all relevant. We're all NBA fans. We're Nets fans.
Yeah.
But I think when Talking Nets started, I used to say like I'm a Nets fan, but I'm an NBA fan. I root for players. I watch the whole league, and you can't just be a Nets fan in the past because the Nets had a lot of misery. The Nets were super mid. It was like you can't just be a diehard Nets fan and block out the rest of the league. You got to be paying attention to the rest of the league.
Yeah, I mean, the in-season tournament, I think, was a success. Obviously, I think they should make a few tweaks with it. But yeah, I mean, I think getting Cam Thomas back will make us more enjoyable. I think we're the 9 seed right now, which is kind of where I expected us to be. I think we'll be an 8 or 9 seed throughout the season. Let's just hope we don't get any injuries, please, basketball gods. Like I just want to stay healthy.
We've had enough injuries. That's been the whole start of this Nets season. So.
Yo, what up, Keith? Happy holidays. What up, Talkin Nets? I'm saying, I was just calling to say that Macau Bridges and Cam Thompson could be consistent, then maybe they could be a top 15 goal. But I didn't think that Cam Thompson would be this essential in the beginning part of the season. And I thought they were going to be the essential part of the offense, where they were going to do big scoring, and we didn't necessarily need Cam Thompson to be a 28, 29-point scorer. So in his absence, which is, what I'm saying, big absence, but I mean, 5 out of 15 games Cam Thomas played thus far. We play Orlando just now. So, if you see our record without Cam Thomas, I don't know the exact record, but last time I checked, it was like 3-4 or 3-5 or something like that. You know what I mean? I can't remember. I'm not accurate. But case in point is the consistency out of CJ and Macau Bridges to be 20-point scorers is essential for us winning. I like Claxton developing a little midi. Do you think that by the end of the season, Claxton can develop a mid-range? All right, man. Shout out to Talkin Nets, man. I'm probably in the chat.
Big Fan Breezy. We're going to book Big Fan Breezy to join us. I think like 2 years ago, we tried to have Big Fan Breezy on.
Just to answer his question, our record without Cam Thomas is now it's 5-4. So I mean, well, it's not too bad. We'll take that. I mean, it was sort of that we lost to the teams that we expected to lose to.
Plans change. Cam is a bucket. I don't know one Nets fan that doesn't like Cam Thomas. Plans change. Mikal Bridges and Cam Johnson not being the leading scorers, and Cam Thomas coming out having 3 games in a row where he scored 30 points. I'd rather watch him play like that. Like, oh yeah, I don't mind watching him run it up. I've been watching the Nets, and what's been lacking, what's been missing for me is that young man, 24. Like, let's get him back, and I think the vibes overall will be better, and we'll be able to steal some games and compete with some teams. I know the narrative around it is, okay, the Nets don't win these games when Cam goes off like that, but maybe they'll figure out how. All right, last voicemail.
Yo, what's good, Keith? What's good, Alex? This is your boy Rahala here. Yo, so real quick, I love the in-season tournament. I think it's a success. Obviously, I hope for next year will get better. They got to make them play at least twice each other, each group standing, I feel. I think the whole point differential thing is, although I see how it's necessary, but with this current format, it's no good. So, kind of bummed out about that. But overall, my Nets, I'm loving it. I love how they're playing. We out here cooking. And, yeah, we got to keep it going, man. That's pretty much it. Hopefully we get Cam back soon and see how this team is flowing. And side note, yo, I always got to do my side note. Yo, I just love how reporters are still asking questions to, like, ex-superstar Net players about the Nets out here, man. And, giving their opinions and stuff, saying that they want to get the hell out of here. You know what, bro? We all know. We already know. Not to beat the past so much, but we all know that KD and Kyrie did not want to leave. They did not want to leave. They wanted to run the town. Instead, the town run them over. That's it, guys. Have a good one. Later.
Thank you.
The past is in the past, and yeah, things just didn't work out, and it is what it is.
I would love to see the 30 for 30 in the future about this.
We will. I mean, they make all these NBA docs. All I tell people is KD signed his extension. When he came back from Tokyo or whatever it was, he signed his extension. He was planning on being here for 4 years. It just didn't work out, bro. A pandemic hit. COVID hit. A vaccination mandate hit the city. James Harden wanted to go to the booty club, right? He wanted to be on private jets. Look at the whole saga with him and Daryl Morey, bro. Like he left to go run to his pops who was letting him do everything, and then that whole thing blew up. And then when all is said and done, more is said and done, the Brooklyn Nets end up with womp 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 Ben Simmons.
Make
this stuff up.
Look at what James Harden's doing right now. So, it was probably the biggest lose trade probably ever.
Yeah. A laughable 3-4 years. A laughable 3-4 years. So, all right. That's all we've got. Appreciate you guys pulling up. People throwing money in the chat. Subscribe, like on your way out. And we'll be back after the next couple games, man. Like I said, as football winds down, we'll get better at scheduling these. We do one at least once a week, but I want to get to the point where we're doing 2 a week. I think what Alex and I'll do is like look at December and look at our own schedules with our, shifts at WFAN, with our personal life, and say, all right, let's, look at the game schedule and plan to, book this. I remember I used to do that with Hudson. I did that with Robin too. Like, these are the dates and times that we just got to commit to do Talkin Nets. And then once we can get this consistently going more, maybe the team will win consistently more. And we do this for the Nets fans and the community in the chat, the Talkin Nets fans and the Talkin Nets people that are watching right now. Appreciate y'all. That's all we've got. Leave a voicemail. Let me see if I can throw that banner up. Leave a voicemail for the next episode. Follow Talkin Nets everywhere. And I'll see you at the arena. I got to get back to the game. Tomorrow night is the 50-year hip-hop anniversary. I wonder who's going to be performing at halftime. They're going to give away one of those little mini courts. That'll be dope. So maybe I'll be able to get over there if my wife and my baby don't need me here, which never happens. Let's go Nets. Let's go Nets. Brooklyn.